Everyone, welcome to the 100%. And this is our fourth one of the week. And yes, we are going to go with the awards first then. And what award was this, Alex? Because I was talking away and I didn't even read it. Shocking.
It's the most improved then of the 100% division.
Fantastic. I'm glad someone's reading it. And we had R2B in there first. Farf next. I really hope he doesn't. He ain't going to win this award. Thank goodness he's not. And end that fit in the tees, Kevin Magnussen. I think he did that on purpose, Nosy. But to be fair, Farf is not a fan of the 100%, but he did really well. R2B then was also the third nominated driver as well, which I think both it's such a hard league to do 100%. And Cirrus Mush, he is ever present, isn't he? It doesn't matter what championship or genre he is in, he's always there, isn't he? Cirrus Mushroom is there. Talk us about Mushroom, just how much he's improved in 100% this year.
Yeah, he's been fantastic as well. Pretty much every race, I think he's been in the point scoring positions or capable of getting the point scoring positions. And to be fair, I think for Farf and Archibald, they've both been stuck in a difficult car towards the end of from the very beginning of the season, pretty much almost in that Haas. So yeah, fair play to them as well. Very good stuff indeed all season through.
Yeah, to be fair, I think the Haas is actually the worst car, isn't it? Of course, remember that 100% is also realistic performance, isn't it? Where the cars are based on the 2023 season. The Haas is the worst car, isn't it, on the grid?
No, it's the Alpha Tower is supposed to be the worst car.
Oh, is it?
So yeah, I think it's Alpha Tauri, Alfa Romeo, Williams, and then Haas actually. But yeah, obviously the difference throughout every 100% race we've had this season, only been 15 rounds, but it's still been quite a long season. I think for some of the drivers, especially. But the difference is, of course, in realistic performance, the car's performance will vary depending on the track as well. So. Obviously, if you have a Williams car, it's going to be very fast in the straight line. It's going to be good at Monza, but it may not be so good in Monaco, for example. Although we didn't race there, unfortunately. But yeah, so the cars vary per track. Of course, the driver skill, driver level, driver ability, and driver adaptability as well. As we can see, a few issues there for an Alpine. But yeah, that sort of thing has to go hand in hand per track, per car as well. So we saw throughout the season quite a lot of different results as well. I think depending on the track and the type of car people were driving at the same time.
And that's very interesting indeed, isn't it? I didn't even think about that. So yeah, the Williams then, as you mentioned, are going to be a slippery devil in places like Monza, Spa, and I would have said Germany, Hockenheim. I'm for some reason I'm back in 2001. Yeah, no, so Spa and Monza would have been very much slippery devils. So that's very interesting indeed. I didn't even fathom that when watched the 100% there. It just shows how incredible 100% has been then, because it's not only about the realistic performance, it's also about the endurance as well. We're on that 41 out of 71. Normally, in league racing, we're normally done by now, Alex. But goodness me, we're just about into the early stages of the second innings here.
Yeah, you're telling me if any race around Austria, I'm dreading it from lap one. But for me personally, that is. But no, these guys did a great job. Then, of course, this was the opening round of the season as well. Not a easy track then to go head first into, especially sort of learning the new car, the new car sort of well, abilities, I suppose you could say, then with the adaptability to the realistic performance league as well. So yeah, to go head first into Austria as your first 100% race in some drivers' case as well, and in a realistic performance vehicle, whichever one you're in, then yeah, it was going to be quite a challenge to say the least.
And as you can see, just looking at some of those names on 100%, what I've quite liked about 100% is it's a lot of mixing and matching. Remember, we said that in Formula 2 last time we was doing the season review. And of course, this is our second 100% realistic performance championship after the first one, of course, which was won by Immortal, wasn't it, on F1 22. But Immortal not on the grid to defend his crown this season. But looking at this race in particular, I must say that I was thinking that it was going to be very difficult for anyone to catch Percy. And this race, he seemed to really command this one, didn't he, Alex? Or did you see it differently?
No, it looked like he was in a very strong position for sure, especially off the first couple of stints or so. I think he opted to do a different strategy to the rest of the field as well, which put him in contention quite quickly. Then for the race lead and potentially for the race win as well. We might see a bit of a spoiler alert that might happen at the end of this one, but no, I think credit to Percy. Like I said, we know he's got the pace, of course, after claiming the title in gold season 9 last season. Yeah, we know he's got some great pace indeed, and that's why he was supposed to be in the slower car. But you can see both the two drivers in the slower car were actually leading the race at various points in this one.
And did you think that that was down to the circuit characteristics, or is it because that Percy and German, basically two very capable drivers, of course, champions from Gold and the top division of Formula One ALR? Do you think it was just down to the driver performance rather than the car?
I definitely think, in terms of Percy and German's case, it was just down to their abilities and their just their pace really. Even in the AlphaTauri, then extracting the pace then from every inch of track, every part of the power that you can extract as much as you can from an AlphaTauri in realistic. They did. So no, it was fantastic to watch in the opening race for sure.
And then, do you notice any different approaches from 100% as well? Because only one retirement so far on lap 62. That's absolutely impressive, indeed. But having said that, we got fourth on the screen, so bear with. Hopefully, everyone's got themselves clenched. But do you see like any different types of like people being a bit more reserved on the opening couple of laps, potentially? Maybe not going for the overtake, maybe waiting for the pit stops. Did you notice any of that this season?
Yeah, from everybody apart from Far, I think. There you go. So, no, again, in 100%, of course, the good thing about 100%, like you said, what you sort of alluded to there as well, is that you've got a lot more time to adapt in the race to various different strategies, even as well. Then, so even if you get a stint wrong, you can potentially recover from that stint by just switching early or earlier than you originally planned to at the beginning of the race, then switching on to a different tire compound or something else, or just adapting your driving then as it looks like Jay Hings has had a bit of an issue then, but yeah. So you've got a lot of time to adapt and change your strategy then, and think about what you're doing in terms of lifting and coasting, conserving fuel at various points of the races as well. Obviously, just of picking your battles a bit more as well, then because you've got more, like I said, more of a thought process to strategically plan your race rather than having to go sort of gung ho into the fight straight away, sort of thing. So yeah, I think a lot of drivers, as we've seen there, unfortunately for Lucas Percy, then on lap 69 of 71, running out of fuel. But yeah, a lot of drivers then were a lot more careful, I think, in terms of planning their race. Well, not careful in terms of planning their races, but I think careful in terms of thinking about their battles and picking their battles a bit more than they would do in 50% races. And that is characteristic of 100% league racing for sure, is making sure you can get to the finish line after all those laps, because you don't want to DNF on the final lap.
Certainly don't. I'm heartbroken if I DNF on the halfway through. As you can see, and of course, one of the main reasons, Alex, you cover 100% is because you used to be a 100%er as well for a different championship back in the day. How at this stage of the race, how difficult is it to keep your concentration up? Then we just seen, unfortunately, Percy dropping all the way down the order because of the fuel issues, and Gurman's taking the lead. But how difficult is it there at lap 71 out of 71? Is it just to keep your focus? Austria doesn't seem to be too bad because the barriers are not that close together. But at this moment, are you quite shattered after racing for such a long time?
I was definitely shattered in the commentary box for sure. But no, in terms of the racing, being on controller, my thumbs are slipping all over the place at this point. But it's just yeah, like you said, it is a race to the finish line, literally to make sure that you can get across the line before you fall asleep, I suppose. But no, I think all drivers, and credit to them, they put on a great show, especially in this race as well, for the first race of the season as well, making sure they kept that concentration to the line.
And German, the season 6 champion of gold, started off the season very well indeed. Then I believe that was his one and only win, unfortunately for German. So unfortunately, he peaked far too early. Story of my life, to be honest. Great stuff indeed for Sigur's Muck, and Reflections also doing a great job indeed. Unfortunately for Reflections, Reflections only raced a few races in this championship, unfortunately, and that's very unusual for Reflections. He's usually ever present, and he's very much similar to Cirrus Mushroom. He's always the hero there, but unfortunately, Reflections had to bow out. But he had such a good start start in this championship. Reflections did there, so big thumbs up from me. Which it probably doesn't make much difference to Reflections, but never mind. But I've said it anyway, though. So good stuff indeed there. But yeah, Austria's out the way. Of course, we had a bit of a different calendar, didn't we, for 100% and for, of course, all the other championships that we have literally have covered. Then, of course, I'm not happy with the old with the old random calendars because I get completely kerfuffled. And you can see then German then taking an early lead in the championship, sick as muck second, and Reflections in a superb third position there. And I must say, looking at those names there in the opening stages, Alex, I look at this, and we've got German gold, we've got Gordo silver, we've got Cirrus Mushroom in bronze. It is an absolute treat, isn't it, there, to see so many different names there all in one championship.
Yeah, and obviously the idea is that it's realistic performance so that we can hopefully have a bit more closer racing between different calibers of drivers on different grids, and that's definitely definitely proved to be a really good success, I think, this season, especially with all the drivers who were committed to every race as well, then the majority of the drivers as well, which is great to see, and they put on a great show there.
They certainly did then. Of course, that is one of 15 amazing races there. We were only going to cover four or five in this review then, but I'm sure a lot of you are quite disappointed by. But you can see the Constructors' Championship, and I've said this in a lot of my broadcasts, Alex, that no one seems to care about the Constructors, but I absolutely love it. We'll talk about the Constructors as we go through this season review as well, because it's edge of your seat stuff, the Constructors. It goes very much down to the wire. And of course, next up is the second award of tonight then. It's the most consistent now on Vintage there. Of course, he's my favourite, Alex, because he has funded my fridge at the moment there, as he's put a lot of donations in. I absolutely love it. But in terms of the 100% Vintage has been ever present. Really good stuff indeed there for Vintage, isn't it?
Yeah, super consistent was Vintage, as we weren't accustomed to. I think, like you said, from the Red Bull driver and then in 100% league this season. But no, he's had a up and down season. He had potential, I think, to get some more points under his belt here and there, but still plugged away every race and put on a show every race as well. Then for the Red Bull team, and really great stuff to have him on the grid as well. Then because he's been like you said, he's been an absolutely fantastic supporter of ALR, and I have to say that. The donations do not go to Sean's fridge; they go back into the league in more helpful ways than that. So yes, thank you very much to Vintage as well.
And we had Vessier, he got the runner-up spot there, and Coop, who of course got the top spot there, and Coop in the Williams car, which is not the quickest car on the grid there. Hats off to Coop, by the way. Coop, of course, started off in gold there, and then in the end went on to of course to 100%. And now we go to the Hungarian Grand Prix. I'm talking of Fridge. Of course, Hungary goes with Fridge, doesn't it? Fantastic. But that is good as it gets, doesn't it, really? But it's a dust ball of a circuit. This one is the Hungarian Grand Prix. I absolutely love it. But going back to consistent as well, Vessier, when he went to the McLaren team, I did feel, especially the second half of the season, he really started to ramp up McLaren's charge for that constructors championship. Hungary is normally round three of the normally in the mid stage of the season. It's round three in this championship, but the McLaren team really started to rev up when Vessier started getting consistent, and that is why he got the runner-up spot for most consistent this season. But hats off to Coop as well, Alex, and really, because he certainly was pretty good in that Williams car as well. That's nothing to sneeze about, is it? Because the Williams is in the bottom half in terms of the car performance.
Yeah, three very consistent drivers this whole season for sure. Like you said, back on Vessier, then he's had a great job then in the McLaren. Of course, there was not so much in this race, of course, because we had more team changes to come after this one as well, because we were trying to adapt everybody's abilities to the right car at the same time as started off the division at the same time as well. So that's why you'll see some drivers jumping around from different cars in the first couple of races. Blimey. So that's why Vessier is not in the McLaren in this race. But yeah, fantastic season from Vessier and of course from Vintage as well then. But Coop, like I said, he went under the radar in some races, but he'd always be able to score points for the Williams team as blimey, that is not how to take a chicane. Coop then, credit to him, of course, well deserved in the most consistent winning award, and very good stuff indeed from the Williams driver as well. Not a easy car to drive, especially around this track.
It certainly isn't, because as you already mentioned, that Williams is a rocket ship. This circuit, you don't really want a rocket ship, do you? Currently in 13th position, teammates X Gamer in 11th position as well. And if I remember rightly, when we was last in 100% around here, it was X Gamer and KD that was very much dominating this race, weren't they? And I'm sure they was in the Aston Martin, believe it or not. I believe anyway. But I think there's something untoward happened with Gamer in that day in history. But yeah, so Gamer is very much a measuring stick as well. And of course, we have the safety car here in Hungary then. And of course, safety car is very much standard to normal championships, so it always throws up a curveball. And preparing for the Hungarian Grand Prix and 100% is very much comparing for Grand Prix in standard championship races. Well, that's what I'm assuming anyway, Alex. Goodness me, it sounds like I know what I'm talking about, which is absolutely completely far from the truth, Ben. But with the safety car just come in now. But would you, if you was a driver, Alex, and this is one of the races that I'll be putting my bottom dollar on, potentially getting a safety car in this one?
Yeah, I think it definitely helped, as we saw obviously in the first race. Some of the AlphaTauris, not mentioning any names, running out of fuel, that sort of thing. Obviously, the safety cars and the all dear as their safety cars are far from sick as muck. Then that's fantastic. Oh no, it's not. It's a Camaro racer, unfortunately. But yeah, I thought it was fast, so that's why I was laughing. Yeah, so yeah, like I said, I think it helps obviously for some cars actually, because even when we heard from Lucas Percy after that Austrian race that he actually had a full tank of fuel at the very beginning of the race and maxed out the fuel and still ran out at the end. Then so yeah, a lot of drivers then having to do adapting on the fly. I think then, especially with the safety car coming out, then that helps them to at least know that they can get to the checkered flag without any issues, I suppose you could say. But yeah, it's again part of the 100% racing that, and in the realistic performance, of course, that is as well, that adds an extra little element then to the races as well.
That's very interesting, that is. Of course, that's not a very good advert if Lucas Percy was topped up all the way to the brim on his fuel tank and still couldn't get to the end there. Goodness gracious me, I thought the fuel efficiency was meant to be good with these cars, but oh dear. That's very interesting. So how do you think that's down to Lucas Percy's driving style potential there? And maybe just, or is how would that happen, do you reckon then? Is that because he's just using more energy with the braking and accelerating? I must admit, I don't really know.
Well, I think yeah, it could be both. It could be the driving style. It could also be just the nature of the car, the way that it's been set up by Codemasters to be slower, I suppose you could say overall. So of course, if you want to save fuel, you've got to go a bit slower as well. Then lift it and coast and that sort of thing. So I think that's potentially another factor that they added in then to make it a more of a realistic performance, if you will, that way. But yeah, again, especially depending on the circuit, again that sort of thing massively varied the fuel levels and how drivers can get to the end of the Grand Prix and that sort of thing as well. So again, it was literally a case by case basis, I suppose you could say. It was yeah, it was all over the place then for the Williams. Then as we've got a Red Bull coming on back on the circuit as well. Then that turn 5 is precarious in any league race. Doesn't matter if it's 100% or in a 5-lapper. So yeah, but yeah, again in terms of the fuel levels, that sort of thing. I think for AlphaTauri, I believe was in terms of most affected. That is, so the likes of Lucas Percy and New Zealand Cam, when he stepped into the car as well, then they had to battle that fuel level quite a lot, fuel load quite a lot. Then in their races that they had through the season as well.
That's very interesting. By the way, Gamer was just demonstrating the issues that the Williams was having on a high downforce circuit like this one there. Unfortunately, I was going to say how well Equaz was doing, but then he decided to put on the intermediate tires for some reason, which is very unfortunate. But he had an incredible ballsy maneuver. I'm allowed to say that? Probably not. He had an incredible maneuver on the outside going into turn 4, reminiscent of Roman Grosjean, but I'm sure that unlike Roman Grosjean, Equaz actually got that move done legally, because of course Grosjean went off the circuit when he overtook on the outside. I can't remember who he did now, but it was in the Lotus days back in 2012. But Equaz going on the intermediate tyres there, Alex. There, I'm not sure if the Alfa Romeo team seen a dark cloud somewhere, but shocking stuff from Equaz, and I'm sure that he would have been absolutely livid in the car. How easy or difficult is that to get the wrong tyres there? Of course, remember that the drivers drivers have to use the HUD kind of thing. Is that what you drivers call it, the HUD, where they're swapping tires? So how easy or difficult is it then to potentially get the wrong tires? Because that costs Equals, I think, potentially a win or certainly a podium here.
Yeah, Jabba the Hud is what we call it. But no, it's literally was again. I think especially on a last minute call, a dive into the pit sort of thing on a safety car, then it can be easy to. Oh my goodness, it can be easy to. I'm just quaking in my boots watching this sort of racing. Yeah, it can be easy to get it wrong. Yeah, of course, you're trying to select a tire as quickly as possible, sort of thing. But no, in terms of planning out your strategies, as we've seen for most of the race so far, and obviously apart from those couple of safety cars here and there, but especially in the Austria race as well, the first race of the season, then we saw most of the drivers then are just adapting their strategies on the fly. It takes you can think about more of what you're doing in 100% racing than in a 50% race, for example. So I think it wasn't too bad there, but a great win for Lucas Percy this time out in the third race of the season.
Yeah, and of course, Percy should have won the first race, but unfortunately, his car is very thirsty. And then, of course, but the two AlphaTauris, and right at the beginning of the season, AlphaTauri was having an incredible start to the season in 100%. The only problem was that the AlphaTauri seemed to have a revolving door of drivers, didn't they? They had Gurman, then they had Percy. I think Jay Hings was in there as well for not full time Jay Hings, but I think he was a super sub in there as well for a few moments of time. Then, so I'm not sure. I'm not sure what Fran Toss was doing to his drivers then, but they certainly wasn't. Certainly wasn't helping them come back, unfortunately, was they? And you can see, in 70 laps, only 2 retirements and only 1 driver a lap down. That's absolutely redonkulous to me. I probably would have been 8 laps down and not been classified, which is why I'm not allowed in it, unfortunately. But there is a championship then after 3 rounds there. And look at that then. Percy then, of course, he won the last race as well, didn't he? So on to 50 points now. 42 points for Gordo. We'll come back to Gordo a little bit later on. Then Gurman in a superb third position as well. Impressively, after only 3 rounds, Alex, 17 drivers have scored points. That's incredible.
Yeah, and I think that hopefully that was down to the realistic performance, sort of adding in that element of bringing the grids a bit closer, bringing the grid, sorry, a bit closer, then and of course more drivers able to score points or having the chance to score points as well, which was nice to see for sure.
Certainly was. And in Constructor Championship then, it does get closer, I promise you. But look, AlphaTauri then, 3 wins in 3 races then. Well, I kind of thought that was going to be done and dusted, to be honest. I thought it was going to be a bit of a low-key affair. Very much similar to Max Verstappen. Only difference is they're driving the Italian Red Bull rather than the Milton Keynes Red Bull. But AlphaTauri leading the way then with Mercedes, and then we have Alfa Romeo, solid start in 3rd position. Ferrari doing a decent job in 4th position there, where Ferrari kind of just lingers for most of the season, to be fair. 4th, 5th, and 6th, and then the Alpine in 5th position as well. Haas, mainly due to Favre, has currently got no points at the moment. They're shocking stuff indeed. Our next award is the best performance, then, Alex. So this is going to be interesting indeed. We've got R2 Beat then once again in the Haas. I don't think it's the car, Alex. I think it's the driver. So Favre, I don't know what he's on about. But we have got R2 Beat them nominated again there, and of course a brilliant job he did in Qatar. Really good stuff indeed there for R2 Beat. And I got to say, oh gosh, I got to say that Qatar, I think, is an incredible circuit to drive on, but so difficult to nail that circuit. Hats off to him. Second is Cirrus Mushroom. Cirrus Mushroom always seems to be ever present in these awards, doesn't he? Goodness gracious me, but probably because he's always ever present, which we love to see. And of course, in Australia as well, tough circuit. Then of course, hopefully we'll be back as the number 1 race in the 2025 season, but we've got a long way to wait, unfortunately. And then we've got Equals. Equals, a difficult season in gold. But in 100% there, I think that he really showed some incredible pace in the Alfa Romeo. And once again, Alfa Romeo is one of the more difficult cars to drive in, but a superb performance once again in Australia. Those 3 nominations, Alex, I don't even know how the drivers was able to decipher about who should have won that award, but all 3 of them did a sterling job, I'd say.
No, cracking stuff. Again, like I said, it was there was great performances. There was many more than just 3 great performances, obviously, from all over the grid in this season, and which is credit to all the drivers, to be honest. Of course, the three that we picked and the three that were voted for were those that we just seen then, and of course R2 beat. Like I said, I don't think he was a fan of the Haas car, especially as well as unfortunately for Lucas Percy's got a drive through then off the start here. But yeah, I don't think he was a fan of the Haas car, but he did pull out some fantastic races in that Haas car, especially in Saudi Arabia as well. Then I remember he got a podium as well there, as well as Qatar. So maybe it was just the oil countries that he did well in. But nonetheless, fantastic from him as well. And of course, Sirius Mushroom, then we know that he's going to be putting on some good shows. And of course, in Australia, I think he got, I think it was P18 to P4 in the end there as well. And of course, Equaz claiming the victory, his one victory in the season as well. That was after, well, lots of podiums, but of course, that one win being the highlight then as well. So, yeah, credit to all three drivers, but credit to the grid as well, I have to say, because it was very difficult to pick out just three best performances, I have to say.
And also, talking of which, actually, I'm going to go off on a tangent now. You know how much I get upset when we have to do a lot of reserves and all that kind of stuff. But 100% this year compared to the first season we run this, night and day. As you can see, we're night in Bahrain. But like the lack of drivers and reserve drivers that you had to get in for 100% just shows that the grid, like how good it was this season, and I think that underlines that how well the grid was done, the driver lineups were done, and all that kind of stuff. So kudos to the admin who did that. Lovely. You can see, Alex, I'm just brown nosing you tonight. Hopefully, I'll get an Easter egg, even though that's probably gone now. Actually, because it's in May. Never mind. Next year potentially. But I do say though that I think that the driver lineup in 100% this year was absolutely superb. And yeah, I do moan about the reserves quite a lot because then unfortunately it takes me a little bit more time to colour in my spreadsheet, and I don't like colours. But yeah, as you mentioned about the whole grid and everything like that, I think that's a big thumbs up. And I just wanted to say that actually when we was doing the final stats and just how many drivers actually did the whole season. I think there was 4 or 5 in the end. They're fantastic stuff indeed. This race I was actually watching live whilst half asleep because I'm getting old these days and I have to be in bed by 8. But I must say, by the end of this race, Alex, I was wide awake and I was buzzing then. It was like I had 2 cans of Monster. What an incredible race this was there. And you can see that Lucas Percy, if you should I spoil it? Nah, let's not. But at this stage, Alex, it wasn't going well for Lucas Percy, but it kind of changed then. Oh my gosh, there's 4 abreast going into turn 1, and Farf is involved as standards. But Lucas Percy, Alex, 23 laps in, 2 drive-throughs, wasn't looking good, was it?
No, I remember commentating on this race, of course, and thinking that I don't think. Well, I knew, of course, based on Lucas Percy's pace that we've seen on plenty of seasons of gold before as well, and in a couple of 100% races as well, that I thought he would get back into the points for sure. But I didn't know how far he was going to get back into the points. Let's say it that way. So yeah, down in P18 on lap 24, almost halfway through the race. And he definitely recovers very well indeed. But it seemed to be a drive-through Grand Prix for him in the first half at least. Anyway, so thankfully he only got 2 drive-throughs, and they've seen them both now. So that's all of his drive-throughs out of the way.
Potentially his best Jensen Button impression there from Montreal. And you can see, look at them all streaming into the pits now as well on lap 25. Of course, all these drivers they're used to doing the 50% races then, because I think a lot of championships do 50% races all over the interweb and things like that. So does that mean that it's all you've got to do, Alex, is just because you basically the strategy I'm going to do for 50% race, I'm going to do for 100%, but I'm just going to double my stops. Is that a fair assumption, or is this the reason why I'm not allowed on the track?
Oh, you're always welcome. I'm not sure how well it would go for you, but we'll see. But no, again, it depends on the track. But there are some tracks where, like you can see around Bahrain, I know obviously in 50% races you can use the soft compound tyres, but I think there was a lot more people using soft compound tyres and going sort of 12 to 15 laps or so on those soft compound quite comfortably. Unfortunately, not so much for Hungry Stars on the medium compound there, but he hopefully gets himself back on track. Yeah, like I said, I think in terms of 100%, I think there was a lot more adaptability in the strategy side of things. There was a lot more people doing 2, 3 stops, that sort of thing throughout the races. Lucas Percy being one of them as well, as we can see here. But yeah, so I think again, like I was saying earlier in the review, there's a lot more ability to adapt your strategy on the fly because you've got more laps, so you can use that extra time gain that you lost in the pit lane. You can use the extra time on the fresh tires then to bring that gap back, and of course gain on your rivals that way as well. Then, so I think yeah, it was really nice to see, like I said, a variation. Obviously, pretty much every race, I think we had all three tires represented in the first lap sort of thing in the opening stint. So yeah, it really sort of put some fantastic racing onto our screens as well, which was good to see.
Big thumbs up for me. I do love a race where it's just more than one pit stop, and I like to see a lot of tyre variation as well. Sometimes in the gold, silver, and bronze championships, we more or less seen the whoa as the Kydal went for a spin there. We normally just see the medium and the hard tires, so it's quite cool to see the soft tires out on circuit. I absolutely love it. And it's goodness gracious me, Kydal then going for a beeline for someone there. Goodness gracious me. But Bahrain then, this is normally the first race of the season, but I must say that this was a very action-packed Grand Prix. This is probably why you put it in the review, Alex, because not only was the ending incredible, but all the way through it as well. It was very difficult to condense this race down to 10 minutes because I think that when we was both reviewing it, we was still on about 30 minutes. And as much as we love talking to you all, we kind of we don't want this review to go on forever and a day. But what an incredible race! And do you think that it was such action packed and a lot of I say action, you may say incidents, Alex, but do you think it was because it was halfway through the season and the drivers there were thinking, oh, I'm involved in a title battle now, and goodness me, how did Liam slow that car down? Incredible. Do you think that there was some drivers then getting a bit desperate now that their championship might be slipping away?
No, I didn't see that in the 100% league. To be fair, and like I said, I think because of the length of the races, then as I said before, you can have a game plan in mind and still change that game plan on pretty much up to the final quarter of the race, I think, and still come out with a good result. And of course, that can help you in the championship fight at the same time. So as we can see there with Lucas Percy then and Kiki, then two different strategies here on the final lap of the race as well. Two different strategies then that of course they've been playing around with since they began the racing, and trying to determine which one's going to be the best to get to the checkered flag the fastest, of course, which is the idea in racing most of the time. So yeah, I think like I said, I think there was flashpoints in the season where it was just it was sort of gung ho, going hell for leather sort of thing, and trying to maximise the result. But I think it's especially in 100% this season, it's been absolutely fantastic in terms of the racing etiquette and the ability and the driver respect on track as well. So and again, I think that's helped them by the different calibers of drivers and throughout all the divisions. Sort of coming together, some of them sort of learning from each other as well, which is fantastic to see.
That is indeed. However, don't learn too much from each other because we like it when you're all fighting for tooth and nail. And my goodness me, at this stage, I thought that Kiki had won it, but look at this. Percy from a day late and a dollar short potentially jumped and got past on the final corner of the last lap, Alex. I got a feel for Kiki because Kiki would have absolutely been devastated after commanding that race for so long. But Percy, you can never discount him out. Then, so as you've seen in Gold review as well, it's never over till it's over with Percy there. But Alex, how did Percy must have felt about that, and how did Kiki felt about it as well? Two different opposite ends of the spectrum, I'm sure.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we saw the best performance at the beginning of this one, and now I regret not putting this one in. I forgot about the two drive-throughs then for Lucas Percy then, but fantastic result indeed. Then I'm sure he was very happy with the result. I don't know about Kiki then. I think to be fair, of course, Kiki joined in replace of Reflection very early on in the season as well. So he was actually fighting for big points as well here. As you can see, he's only up to 13th now with 20 points there. But of course, this is only a couple of races into his 100% career, so he was on the money from the get go was Kiki, which is good to see. But yeah, I think it's never easy to lose a race, especially on the last corner and the last lap as well. So I think he took it very well. To be fair, I think I would have been a lot more animated. Let's put it that way.
You wouldn't have heard from me for a very long time if that happened to me. So but that's why these drivers are the best at what they do. They're not only they're quick, they're also you can also let the a performance like that. As much as it's been great for Kiki, but that must hurt. But still getting back on that horse and back going as well. And then of course in the constructors championship as well, AlphaTauri still leading at the moment there, but it's starting to become rocky times. And we're only on round 7 out of 15, halfway through the season. But now, Alex, it's gone from AlphaTauri that has very much been head and shoulders above everyone else in the championship. Felt like it was domination, but from this point forward, I felt there was a bit of a change in the guard. Then you said that there was a gentleman second position in that championship driver standings just before this one, and that was Gordo, who's seemed to all of a sudden come out of nowhere. But before we do, let's go on to the best overtake. Goodness gracious me! Of course, we got Hungry Styles first there in the Red Bull. Then, as of course, I got to remember that we were doing the awards as well as doing the races, then just to keep me on my toes. Then, and this is at the top of Lake Cobham there between Styles and Kaidal, and I can't even fit myself going through these corners one at a time there, getting very precarious there, but an incredible maneuver nonetheless. And then we had Vessier in the McLaren Mercedes, then, of course, which was the runner-up to the best overtake. I think this was, wasn't it? Yes, indeed. Here in Spain, then, of course, this, and ironically, it's at the same corner that the best overtake was won in gold a few seasons ago. Then this is only runner-up this time, but Vessier and Gamer, then, two drivers, then, which have got absolutely incredible caliber in turn 4 as well. And of course, the two Mercedes drivers couldn't do that, could they? And of course, Lucas Percy, then, who it's been the Percy show so far in the 100%, hasn't it? There, but the wind of change is starting to come through. And this is Percy going into Cox Corner. This one is there, and going past Farf as well. You have to be up very early to catch Farf unaware into Cox Corner. My goodness gracious me, that was an incredible overtake, Alex. I would never have tried to overtake Farf there. Goodness gracious me, Percy, a brave man.
Well, he has to be, especially battling with Farf. Anybody does, but there we go. So no, credit to those three overtakes were fantastic stuff indeed. Again, there was plenty more to pick from as well then, but only 3 that we could nominate. So no, great stuff indeed. Then and of course, like I said, Lucas Percy then trying to throw it up the hill there into turn 9 in Spain, especially with Farf is. He must have been clutching everything and crossing everything at the same time as we went through that corner.
Goodness me. Yeah, that was incredible, wasn't it? Fantastic, 70. Now we're on round 13 then. We've had a bit of a jump then from Bahrain to China, and the story of the season has completely changed now. And this was, correct me if I'm wrong, Alex, but this is the first time that Gordo could have won the championship. Last time we seen Gordo, he made his way up into second in the championship, but it was just that ever consistent from Gordo, just banging in those podiums, just getting those race performances. Oh dear, but unfortunately that didn't help Vessier too much, did it? It was getting very hairy in the hairpin of turn 13, I think it was. Oh goodness gracious me, Alex. It's all anarchy there. Do you reckon it's because the drivers have had a year off from China that they've had a bit of fun down the hairpin there?
Yeah, trying to adapt to it, I think, is what's happening there. Is we're going to go 3 wide or 4 wide into turn 1. That's definitely not a place to go, as we can see. But no, I think it's good to have China back on the calendar, to be fair. I think it was definitely entertaining racing for for all 4 divisions when we of course held it in gold, silver and bronze as well before, which I don't think we've seen in the reviews actually for those 3 divisions already, but we've got it here in China at least, here in 100% I should say at least, sorry. So yeah, so no, I say good to have it back on the calendar. I think it's actually been adapted, I believe, then for the new game as well then, so we might see some more changes then to the track layout, well not the layout, but to the curbs, to the corners, that sort of thing then for the new game as well then, so we'll have to wait and see on that one. But yeah, it was good to have it back on the calendar for sure. And then of course this was like you said, the first championship deciding race then for Gordo, over Kiki, over Lucas Percy, over Equaz as well then. So yeah, there was potential then for a new champion to be crowned here tonight as well in the 100% league here in China as well.
And goodness me, this is the first time that Gordo was involved in a championship fight in terms of his ALR career. So I was actually very impressed with the young Scotsman. He did a very good job indeed, Gordo did, of just handling the pressure because even with all that on his shoulders, he still did a really good job. And especially with Equals there, we was talking about how consistent Equals was throughout the season. And once again, he was just sat behind Gordo, wasn't he? Just really showing Gordo that it's not over yet. Of course, there was 2 more races after this one, but getting the championship won on your first occasion, oh gosh, there is getting very hairy down there. Goodness gracious me. Gosh, I think that bit of Sonoda and Lance Stroll-esque manoeuvres down there, wasn't it? But how important is it, Alex, to clinch the championship on your first, when you got your first opportunity then? Or is it not important?
Well, to be fair, I think, oh dear, I mean, that Red Bull is flying. He's definitely got wings, that one. No, definitely, I think in terms of Gordo and Equaz's performances this season, like you said already, consistency has been the key word for sure from the both of them. Well, I think in terms of Gordo's performances, he's not. I don't know if he actually was aware of the championship. To be honest, I think he was just taking it race by race, which is well, again, a trait of a true champion as well. Then is just making sure you can maximise what you can get then in each race that you're racing at each week, sort of thing. But yeah, Gordo then I think was just. Or just the ideal, the most deserved champion. I think there was quite a few people who deserved at least a top 3 position in the end of the season. That is, but no, Gordo coming out on top. Then I think it just shows the credit to him for 15 races of the season. He put on a show for each one of them at least, and of course just maximise what he could do in each race rather than worrying about where he was going to finish up. He was just going to say, well, let's see if I can get another point or two here, and at least use that to sort of springboard into the next race, and then try and improve week in, week out.
And one thing, and when you said take it race by race, I hope Gordon doesn't mind me saying this, but very similar to what Rosberg was doing in 2016 against Hamilton, and also and it's also similar to Kimi Räikkönen and Fernando Alonso fighting in 2005. Remember that that McLaren that year from Kimi Räikkönen was faster than that Renault, I think, but that McLaren just struggled to get to the end of the races, or Kimi Räikkönen made some mistakes here and there, similar to potentially of what Gordo is. Gordo, the Fernando Alonso 2005, just kept getting the results and kept getting the performance in as well. Because at the beginning of this review, Alex, we didn't really speak much about Gordo, but then the second half of the season, and as I was saying, the winds had changed. Then really blew through the 100%, didn't it? And oh goodness me, someone's done a Maldonado there, haven't they? But unlike Maldonado, they've escaped that. Well done, Camaro, good stuff. But Gordo, second half of the season especially, has really started to put in those performances there, and every call he made was precise and accurate. It was not I don't think it was off the cuff decision, was it? I remember Gordo raced for both Mercedes and the McLaren team. And I'm going to be honest, Alex, I shouldn't say this, but I was quite biased. I wanted Gordo to win because Gordo's been with us for a very long time. 108 Grand Prix starts, I think, in silver alone. He's been pretty impressive. He's gone from the highs to the lows. He's gone from, I think he was on the podiums. Goodness me, Cam. Gosh, he was going through the podiums as well. And then, of course, he had a rough couple of seasons, especially when the first era of ground effect came in. I think it was F1 22, I believe, last season, where Gordo struggled a bit there, but carried on as well. So, yeah, for me, Alex, I know you're probably not going to like this, but I think Gordo is a deserving champion. I'm glad he won the championship.
No, I think, well, like I said, it's all credit to him for putting on a fantastic show every race, and at least doing what he can do, doing the best he can do in every race as well. Then, and like you touched on there, characteristic of a champion, and a characteristic of Gordo, of a great ALR racer as well, is even when it's not going their way, especially like you said in the beginning of the ground effect era, and I think even in the beginning of this game as well last season, where he struggled, then he's really worked on how to improve then, and adapted to the game, to the style of racing that he needs to adapt to, and he's Why? He's got the just rewards for it. He's got the championship here in 100% for a fantastic season as well. Then, and like you said, I don't think there is after the difficult seasons that he's had the last 2 or 3 seasons overall in ALR. That is, I don't think there's anybody who does deserve another championship as much as Gordo does this season. So no, credit to him as well, and hopefully more to come. We'll see.
Definitely one of the top 5 moments for me. I absolutely love this, and you can see then that Gordo, it was getting a bit hairy, wasn't it, between the two McLarens there, and then unfortunately for Equals, similar to Percy on round one, few issues there for Equals, unfortunately, which ended his chance of the championship then as we crossed the line there. Kiki, who was starting to really become a major player in 100%, but I think that it was just too little, too late there for Kiki. But yeah, Gordo on his victory lap as well. What a performance there from Gordo. Superb stuff indeed. Yep. One of the top 5 moments in ALR in our 5 years that we've been doing this now. So really good stuff indeed there for Gordo. Hats off to him indeed then. And yes, I loved it, to be honest, Alex. I absolutely did.
Yeah,
But
just a shame about that pink thing in the corner at the top right. So
I was going to bring
rid of
up the
that
face cam.
no, don't worry about that. We'll get rid of that.
That was one of the highlights of the 100%. Actually, we were talking about the face cam in just a jiffy. I was trying to be professional, but I was also staring at your beautiful face as well whilst Gordo was driving around about to take a historic championship at 100%. Then, and once again, the lack of DNFs is absolutely incredible. We've seen that throughout all the championships. But before we do, there it is, Gordo, loud and proud at the top of the standings there, with Equals and Kiki second and third there. Kiki, very much win or bust, isn't he? Kiki is there. And very similar to Bronze. He's so quick, Kiki, is a bit more consistency, and he's going to be a major player as well. Vestier then, of course, really turned his fortunes as well around with the McLaren team as well. But look at that, 19 of the 20 drivers scored there. Martin, unfortunately, not scoring, but Martin was, I think, raced for 13 of the 15 races as well. So even when it didn't go well for Martin, he was still very much in there, and I'm really trying to, I'm really just trying to get the best result indeed there. But you can tell, can't you, like from round 7 to round 13, that championship table just absolutely changed on its head. And you can see in the constructors as well, this constructors battle was going right down to the wire. McLaren currently had a decent advantage then, but AlphaTauri really very well pulled up their socks, didn't they, and had an incredible final 2 races, which you're about to see. Mercedes adrift in third position. Now, kind of in no man's land, really, isn't it? And of course, as I said, that no one else really cares about the constructors, but the constructors was very much tip of your tongue, Alex, weren't they, in terms of the Brazilian Grand Prix, which is coming up in just a moment. But before it does, I've remembered the awards this time, Alex, and it is one of the big ones. It's Driver of the Season there, and of course, Cirrus Mushroom there got third position there. Cirrus Mushroom hogs these awards, doesn't he? Goodness gracious me! It's like he's one of the admin favourites, isn't he? There, and look at him as he goes into Stoke Corner as well. Cirrus Mushroom there, very much in that Ferrari, they're taming the Scuderia, which is very difficult to do, isn't it? Of course, especially with the passionate Italian fans. So good stuff indeed there for Cirrus Mushroom. Equals runner-up there at this season for the driver of the season there. But as you mentioned, Equals in the Alfa Romeo team as well did a really good job. As you can see, it's a really great drive in Australia, good drive in Bahrain as well to get third position there. And even when it wasn't going his way, he still finished it in decent points. And Gordo, we said it in China, didn't we? Gordo was absolutely sublime, wasn't he, this season? 2 wins there, but it is all about the consistency for Gordo, being crowned the second 100% world champion of ALR. Superb stuff indeed there. Molto and Gordo now is in the Hall of Fame of the 100%ers as well, so really good stuff indeed then. As we go on to Brazil, the final race of the 100% season as well, Alex, but those 3 driver of the season award, those 3 drivers I'm nominated for driver of the season, could you tie that up in a beautiful bow for me?
Like I was saying, I would give everybody who finished the season as a full-time driver the driver of the season, to be fair. It was absolutely epic this season, and it was credit to all the drivers who kept on plugging away and putting in the great races for all 15 rounds. So, credit to obviously Cirrus Mushroom, who's put in a great performance week in, week out as well. Credit to credit to Equaz, who of course claimed P3 in the driver's standing, that is, in this fantastic season, and of course the champion who was crowned in China in the last race, Gordo as well. Like I said, well deserved championship. Nobody, I don't think, it deserved it more in the end as well. Then, so no, it was fantastic to see that. Well, those three drivers, of course, getting the accolades they deserve as well. But overall, I have to say, I'll give it to all 20 on the grid.
Very chargeable of you, Alex. And a really good 17. Of course, we did touch on the face cam as well, Alex, earlier on in the stream. I got a very good buzz as well in the comment section there. Are you going to be bringing back that face cam for season 3?
Goodness knows.
We're going to put it to a vote, I reckon. So I think it's probably a yes.
Okay, we'll put it to a vote. Yeah, let's do that. Yeah, we'll see. Well, the good thing is yeah, not the good thing is, unfortunately for the viewers, I think it probably scared them, gave them nightmares most of the nights after the 100% races. But at least they had a week to recover before the next one. So yeah, we'll have to wait and see what's going on with the face cam. Then, unfortunately, yes, I can't say anything too good about it.
I think it was a popular decision, and I think it was Rocket Lee that really loved it as well in the comment section. I remember seeing. So yeah, good stuff indeed there. But as we're just watching the final race here in Brazil, then a legendary circuit as well, as it's getting very tense and getting very tense in the run up to the infield of this Brazilian Grand Prix. 71 laps around here, and spoiler alert, once again, just like in Bahrain, it is going to be last lap. Delight and last lap anarchy and last lap shame for one driver. Unfortunately, goodness gracious me, Cam had a lot of momentum there going out of turn 4. Goodness gracious me, Alex. After like 70 odd laps, these drivers seem to wait till the very last lap. I must say, I reckon you paid them to just get a bit of entertainment on the go.
No, I think they just they did that themselves, to be fair, which was free of charge. But no, it was again, it was a fantastic, fantastic round, fantastic track to end off the season, for sure. Obviously, Brazil always is, to be fair. So no, it was really good to finish off the season here in Brazil, and of course, usually puts on an entertaining racing, as we can see here for the first opening 9 laps or so, or 10 laps that we're on. As oh dear, not so good then for the AlphaTauri. But yeah, I think every race around Brazil is pretty good. It's always got some highlights to put into a review. So yeah, worthwhile having this one as the final race of the season. And I just want to say as well, sorry, before I cut you off again, but of course, this at this point of the season, we had the sad news that I think it was that this day as well. This is the race for Dr. Truepox, and of course, who sadly took his life the night, well, the day before and then we got the news on the morning of this race. And everybody put on, again, a fantastic show, everyone running the black helmets. And of course, at the very beginning of this session as well, we had the tribute from his friends, Lucas Percy and Brooksy as well, who was in this race as well, who put on a fantastic show indeed then for their late friend. So no, it was, I think, the most wholesome ALR experience at the beginning of this session, and of course another fantastic race to really put a tribute to a nice a friend to of course ALR members, and of course a friend of ALR as well.
As well, that's very well said. Yeah, I think that all the drivers and yourself did a very good job on this on this race. We've spoke about Dr. Truepox in all the broadcasts as well ever since, and of course a Grand Prix winner in bronze, and there was a comment as well potentially about renaming one of the leagues after Dr. Truepox. I didn't know Dr. Truepox. Well, I didn't really interact with Dr. Truepox, but it was absolutely horrifying to hear that he was in such a dark place that he felt he had no option but to take his life. And I said it in bronze, I've said it in gold, and you've said it as well, Alex, that we we would rather talk to you anytime and make sure you're all right then. And everyone in ALR will help each other. I will put my I'll put my bottom dollar on that. That anyone in ALR will talk to you if you need help. And that is the major point. Is just talk to anyone really. Um, yeah, I was the stream. I think everyone did amazingly well, but and everyone was wearing black helmets, and they will be wearing black helmets for the final two races. But I wish that no one had to wear black helmets, and I wish that we didn't have to talk about this. But sadly, sadly we are, because Dutch Troopot's is in such a difficult time. In I That's such a shame indeed. And yeah, you can tell, Alex, I'm not very good at speaking about about things like that. But oh dear, as Vesier's gone for a spin there. So, but hats off to you and the drivers as well. And Percy was very much driving superbly well for his late friend in this race there, and it was one of the most incredible performances that we've seen all season there. Um, but as we come to the end of this race now, because we're on lap 49 out of 71, and look at there's Cam there diving down the inside into the center S there. With Gordo, of course, claiming the championship, Alex. I think the Gordo would be happy that he didn't have to fight for the championship in Brazil, because as you mentioned there, it's this race is very much this can be a wacky race at times. And you don't really want to be fighting for a championship at this stage.
No, no, you said, well, I think leaving it to the final race, I think the nerves will kick in for sure on that final Grand Prix, whichever track it is. But like you said as well, in terms of Brazil being a title decider, we've seen it in real life Formula One. You don't know what's going to happen until the checkered flag falls, do you? So, yeah, that's why it's. I think Gordo is probably well, quite comfortable in this race. He didn't need to worry about where he finished in this one, did he? So, yeah, I would. I don't know. I would say I've never had to fight for a championship on the final race of the season. Thankfully, not fast enough to do that sort of thing. So, yeah, I wouldn't know whether it'd be best to win it as early as possible, then, or wait until the last moment, then for all the glory as well. But yeah, I don't think it mattered to Gordo in the end. Then he had done all the work then previously, and I think this one actually was um, his tyre testing phase, where he decided to do as many laps as he could on the hard compact tyre instead. So there you go.
Obviously, Gordon hasn't been paid enough for being a champion, has he? Goodness gracious me! Because yeah, he was certainly not. He's certainly very tight on those tires, weren't they? And this was the final lap then, and once again, like Bahrain, it was going to be a showdown. Once the Gamer got past that person, I thought that was it. I thought the Gamer had stolen the march on the final lap of the last race of the season. And goodness gracious me, we're getting back to the 2008 vibes, wasn't we, from Hamilton and Massa? Goodness gracious me. But once again, Percy was just pushing, and but he's going to say the same party trick he did with Kiki as well back in Bahrain. They had 70 laps, Alex, to decide who's going to win this Grand Prix, but they left it so late to the end as well there, and a very fitting end to what is a very good race there under a very difficult circumstances there, Alex. So, have you got, as we're about to wrap up this review, what have you got any final thoughts over the season? It's been pretty impressive, I reckon.
Yeah, just on that as well. Like I said, I don't think there was a more deserving champion than of Gordo, but I remember saying as well in commentary there was no more deserving winner of this race than Lucas Percy as well. It was fantastic to watch that one. And no, in terms of a summary, like I said, it's been. Well, I think it was a bit of a difficult start trying to get everything sorted in terms of getting people in the right cars at the beginning of the season, a long time ago now. But yeah, from I think it was the first sort of 3 rounds or so, it was absolutely epic this season from all 20 drivers and the reserves, of course. Of course, a big shout out to everyone who filled in every now and then throughout the races as well. But no, I couldn't fault any of the 20 drivers. They put on a show every week, and credit to them as well. And looking forward to bringing them back or bringing as many back as possible, of course, for the new season F124.
and we cannot wait then. And Gordon there he was crowned champion in a few races ago. Kiki finished runner-up with Equals in third position. Percy 1 point away from that third position in the end. Then Cirrus Mushroom finishing in a superb fifth with Vessier in sixth position there. And I got to say, I'm really impressed with how many drivers scored points in that season. Very impressed indeed. Then from all those drivers, we do have a bonus award, don't we? Coming up in just a few moments, Alex. And of course, I'm not sure. Should I spoil the beans now, Alex? Because we know who's won that award, but we haven't got much long left. Then, did you want to tell us about the this final award?
Yeah, well, we've seen it in the other divisions as well, but yes, of course, the admin's driver of the season, of course, not so much for their performances, I suppose you could say, but for plugging away each race. I've decided to give it to Kamara Racer then for turning up week in week out and at least putting in the effort to try and get the results then. And they had a very difficult season indeed, but credit to him for putting in a shift every week as well and just trying to improve. And hopefully in the new game that turns around for him as well.
It certainly is, because he's one of the quicker drivers in terms of one lap pace there, and I wholeheartedly agree with you as well. Of course, admin's driver of the season. Congratulations to Camera. Towards we probably should have extended a bit towards the end. And hats off to Camera Racer, of course, a good friend of the stream as well as always in the streaming, giving us and having a chat with us as well. So a lovely overtake on Far.
And just before we end this season review, of course, we have got the 100%ers in terms of the attendance. It's going to be determined on the spinning wheel, where they will win a £20 PSN gift voucher thingy-majig. And there they are. And of course, we had Styles, Vessier, Sigismund, and Cirrus Mushroom. And it is Hungry Styles that wins that gift voucher. Congratulations. Hats off to him. See you next season.